Hi everyone, it's Rax. It is day one of Blizzcon 2019 and we got some unbelievable news. Diablo 4 is coming. So in case you didn't have a chance to check everything, I'm going to compile everything in a short video so you can be completely up to speed on everything that we've figured out so far. Here we go. Alright, let's kick it off with some basic game information about Diablo 4. The genre is an isometric ARPG, so the same thing as Diablo 3. So all those theories and rumors that they were going to go in a completely different direction, yeah, that didn't pan out. It's going to be the same style of game. The system it's going to be available for our computer, Xbox, and PlayStation. Luckily, no mobile for this one. The release date is unknown, and from everything that I'm hearing from people at BlizzCon, the feeling is it's not going to be soon. So I take that to mean we are not going to get it any earlier than sometime in 2021. The monetization so far, I believe, is unknown. They did mention something about some cosmetic microtransactions, and in my opinion, that's alright as long as they're cosmetic, but we'll have to wait and see. Lilith, Mephisto's daughter, is going to be the main antagonist. There is an incredible opening Diablo 4 video that I will have linked in the description along with some other amazing resources. If you haven't seen the video, you should really watch it. It was stunning, the way that Blizzard opened up the game. It's going to be a dark open world with 5 massive regions. As they said in the developer panel, some of the regions may be 20 times bigger than any region that any of the Diablo franchise has seen. There are mounts to help you move around in this open world, and there will also be waypoints like we're used to. There, of course, will be dungeons. They will be randomized, and there will be hundreds of them. Trading and PvP are both making a return, along with runes and rune words, and there were even world bosses that we saw tons of people fighting in some of the gameplay. Moving on to the classes, there will be 5 available at launch, and they unveiled 3 of them on the first day of BlizzCon. The first one will be the Sorceress. It's the typical Sorceress that we're used to from Diablo 2 and Diablo 3. They're going to shape the elements. They're going to use ice, lightning, and fire to obliterate their foes. We saw them throwing down meteors and freezing enemies. It was very cool to see. The Barbarian is, of course, coming back. You can't have a Diablo game without a Barbarian. And the very interesting thing about it is they are going to use a battle system called Arsenal. It's going to allow them to wield 4 weapons, and you can assign different weapons to certain skills, which is going to make them do more damage and bring out more build diversity. It was really cool to see. And finally, the Druid is making a return. They're going to be a savage shapeshifter, and they can much more fluidly move between their different forms, human, werewolf, and werebear. Again, in the description, you'll be able to see some gameplay of the Druid. And one of the comments that one of the developers made is they took away some of the Druid's fire skills to make them more of, I guess, a pure Druid. So their spells are going to be geared towards nature. So I saw them calling down thunderstorms and manipulating the earth. So I don't think the Druid in Diablo 4 will be doing fire abilities. That will be reserved for the Sorceress. As far as what the other 2 classes could be, I don't know. I'll give you my prediction. I think that we need a pure ranged class, something like a Demon Hunter, something that's powerful at range. And I don't know a better way to describe it other than I think the 5th class should be something weird, something auxiliary, something maybe a brand new class that the Diablo franchise hasn't seen that might entice players to come back in who maybe are just looking for something new to play. But of course, there's always room to bring in the Necromancer or the Monk, or I don't know. What do you guys think is going to fill the last 2 slots? I'm interested to hear. But, of course, there will be many expansions to Diablo 4, so I'm sure when it's all said and done, we'll get way more than 5. Alright, let's talk about what they've shown us on how we're going to develop our characters. And remember, this is the very first time we've ever seen Diablo 4, so everything is subject to change. Tons of things could get moved around, so we're not going to go into really any detail, just showing at a high level what they showed us today. So there are talent trees and skill points that you can allocate in different ways to make builds or characters stronger. And it looked like the way that they had it set up, I don't know if there's going to be an elective mode, but it looked like there was a certain branch of skills assigned to each key, like offensive, defensive, movement, things like that. So I'm hoping that we're going to be able to move those around. Also, it looked like in the demo, at least, we were only able to pick one skill from each different family. And I hope that, again, we're able to mix and match that and choose whatever we want. And the talent trees reminded me a lot of Diablo 2, as you go down and you pick certain talents that are going to make your character stronger in some way. There, of course, will be legendaries. There's no Diablo game without legendaries. There's going to be hundreds available at launch. Hopefully we don't fall into the trap that Diablo 3 has, where we have a lot of legendaries that don't really do anything. But luckily, over time, the developers have added more legendary powers. There are fewer and fewer legendaries that don't do anything for us. I think that they've learned from that mistake, and I think that these legendaries are going to have a meaningful impact on our builds in Diablo 4. Sets will return in Diablo 4, and the developers said that they will specifically make them less powerful than they were in D3 to promote build diversity, because, as we know in Diablo 3, you got to put on the full set, and that's essentially the only way to play unless you're going to do a Legacy of Dreams or a LAN build. In the same sense with runes and rune words, they mention that in Diablo 2, you would put together a certain combination of runes to make this extremely powerful item that Blizzard built, that Blizzard had in mind, and then you'd use that. And they wanted it to be much more open and much more diverse. So runes will operate and augment items in a different way and maybe not make those juggernaut rune words that we're used to in Diablo 2 that are pretty much mandatory to use. And for cosmetics, they said you're going to be able to customize a lot of things about your character. You can have different tattoos and piercings and hair. So you'll get to create the character that you want to play, and you'll even be able to customize your mount. Now let's move on to the social aspect of Diablo 4. There will be social areas in the Diablo 4 open world environment, like in towns, for example, where you're going to see a lot of other players, where you can gather to trade, you'll be able to chat with them, you can inspect their gear or inspect their build, and you can make friends and form parties to go out and explore or go conquer some dungeons. Now, I did see in the demo that there was a tab for clans. I didn't hear it really discussed very much, but clans will be making a return in some fashion in Diablo 4. One very interesting thing was the world bosses. They showed a giant boss that dozens of people were fighting, and honestly, it looked like the boss was winning. So it looks like there will be some very difficult enemies for us to battle. We'll be able to gather tons of people and hopefully get some amazing rewards for taking them down. And the developers specifically mentioned that you'll be able to complete Diablo 4 completely by yourself without having to deal with any of these social aspects if that's the way that you enjoy playing the game. Finally, let me tell you my impressions of what I saw today. So all this is just my opinion. But I gotta be honest with you, I think Blizzard killed the announcement. It was so good. If you have not seen the opening video, I'm going to put that and a lot of other links below in the description. I strongly encourage you, watch it for yourself, turn up the volume. It was pretty amazing. Blizzard has a reputation for having those amazing cinematics. So the dark theme world and the graphics I thought looked amazing. Even when they were standing in town by the campfire, just seeing how good the fire looked, just burning on the logs. It looks like that they have a much better engine for Diablo 4, and it's just going to be a stunning game. The gameplay seemed fluid to me just watching it. And actually hearing some of the people testing the game and commenting on it, they all said it seems very fluid, not only in pressing the keys, but the animations as well. One thing that I was really hoping Blizzard would do is that they would take a lot of positive aspects from their other games, Diablo 2, Diablo 3, Path of Exile, Lost Ark, and bring them into this game. In listening to their commentary for hours and hours and hours today, and talking with my chat and talking with some other big names in Diablo 3, it really seems that they've done that. It really seems that the potential for Diablo 4 is extremely high. Trading and PvP returning is a big bonus. A lot of people find that these aspects of the game are extremely important. The one thing, of course, is when we implement trading, we got to make sure the economy isn't ruined by either a real money auction house or just by botters or gold farmers or anything like that. But I'm sure that that's something that Blizzard has considered, and they must have an awesome way to implement it, I believe. One thing that they kept talking about is just the breadth of the world and how gigantic it is and how long the campaign's going to be and how there's going to be hundreds of dungeons. And yeah, just looking at it, seeing the screenshots they had and some of the videos and some of the demos, it looks like the actual game is going to be just filled with content. So that should keep not only old returning players, but new players to the franchise entertained for a very long time. So really looking forward to it. And of course, there's lots of room for an expansion or multiple expansions beyond the 5 classes that we started with. They could add more zones. And of course, they're going to learn things and make the game even better as it goes on. Some people were kind of let down by the fact that there were only 5 classes, but this is just the beginning. As long as there's 5 classes, they're all very dynamic and interesting. There's plenty of room to add more. The one big question that I had from watching all the content today is, what is the end game going to be like in Diablo 4? Once you've smashed the campaign and you have the really good gear, what is there going to be to do? Now, they did mention that we're going to actually dive down into the depths of hell, and they weren't going to unveil it today, but that we were going to be stunned when they actually released it. So maybe that will be the end game. But I would like the details on exactly what's that going to be, because as someone who plays a game far more than any human should, that's the main thing that I'm going to be looking for in Diablo 4. Well, thank you so much for watching, everybody. Just wanted to make a quick recap from day one in case you missed it, just to get you caught up on all the information. Please check the description for additional links and additional videos. I promise you they're worth watching. The game looks absolutely amazing. Tomorrow there will be another panel that I will be listening to with the virtual ticket. If you'd like to join me on the live stream at Twitch, I'd love to have you. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them for you. Please subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and many more videos on Diablo 3 and Diablo 4 are coming. Thank you so much.